think we're on.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Haruna and Rashmi here for the BPS Summer Coding Sampler. Welcome to the first session.
Hello.
And should we just switch right to the slides?
Sure.
All right. I'm gonna. No, wrong button. All right. So again, welcome to the BPS Summer Coding Sampler. This is the first part of a 13-session series. And if you are joining us live, please also open this link, todaysmeet.com/codingsampler1, which will bring you to this page where, oh, I see somebody's logged in. Great. And if you're here, you can log in with your, not log in, you can sign in with a nickname and you can introduce yourselves. Hi, Brian. Hi, Janet. So we're just going to get start with the meet.
Absolutely. So what do we mean by CS and coding? Coding or programming is essentially giving a set of instructions to a computer or a computing device so that it does what you want it to do. Computer science is a much broader term for the study of computers and computing systems. Programming is sort of a small subset of CS, but the term is sometimes used synonymously as programming or coding in K-12.
So we'll probably kind of mix up the words sometimes as well. We'll say CS, coding, programming. It pretty much in K through 12 we were talking about coding and programming. Although if you go to higher ed, they may mean different things.
Absolutely. Again, why computer science in K-12? Research has shown, and we've read a lot about this, that computational thinking and problem-solving skills that come from CS benefit students in many different ways. We'll also be talking about the new MA Digital Literacy and Computer Science curriculum framework, which is now adopted, which is on June 18th. They are voluntary, but they are really great standards to go by. CS for All initiatives are announced by the White House and other cities and states, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go into these coding samplers.
Yes, so with the adoption of the new digital literacy and computer science curriculum framework, which just happened last week, it's a very exciting development. And we're seeing all these CS for All initiatives all over the place in different cities, states, countries. And so we're not saying Boston is joining that yet, but we never know when that might happen. So we just want to make sure everybody's prepared, and we are prepared as well.
Absolutely.
And just going a little bit further into the Massachusetts Digital Literacy and Computer Science Curriculum Framework, this page is a screenshot right from the official document. And just looking at the vision statement, digital literacy and computer science knowledge, reasoning, and skills are essential both to prepare students for personal and civic efficacy in the 21st century and to prepare and inspire a much larger and more diverse number of students to pursue the innovative and creative careers of the future. So they're basically saying we really need all of this knowledge, not just using computers, but also computer science in order to be successful in their future.
Absolutely. And to the MADLCS curriculum framework, you see that there are 4 key strands. The first one is computing and society, which talks a lot about safety, security, the ethics. And again, how interpersonal and societal impact happens with computing. The second strand is digital tools and collaborations, and we've looked at this in digital literacy standards as well. So, collaboration, communication, how we do research, and how we use digital tools within that context is very important. Third is computer systems, and the fourth, which is another very important strand, is computational thinking, which involves us a lot into the discussion about abstractions, algorithms, data programming, and sort of the modeling and simulation space.
And most of the things that we will cover in this course will be around the computational thinking strand, because that's where the programming and modeling and things like that fall under. Oh, and if you had a chance to look at the draft document a couple of months ago, we had some teachers come together to look at the draft document for the digital literacy and computer science standards. When they were taking the public review. They did make some changes, so I
Mhm.
encourage you to take a look at it again. In fact, it's an assignment for this session, but we'll get to that later.
So when we talk about or discuss computer science in K-12, there is a spectrum that we go through. There are pre-programming skills, which is, the sequencing, being able to write instructions, breaking down problems into smaller steps. So essentially being able to have this set of pre-programming skills are essential as you go into graphical programming, which is block-based programming languages. Scratch, Hopscotch, Starlog are some of these block-based programming languages which are very popular and teach students wonderful concepts around programming, which then takes you to this text-based programming, which includes JavaScript, Java, Python, C. And during this coding sampler, we have some examples of these languages. We are giving overview, so it'll be an exciting session for you to see how these skills progress as we go through the spectrum.
And at each of these different levels, different skill levels, there are some questions that you should be thinking about when you're using computer science tools in the classroom. And one of them is whether you want to use tutorials or open-ended projects. Now, tutorials are great that a lot of times it's self-paced, students can follow along on their own, and it doesn't, it's pretty much packaged for you, so there's very little teacher intervention. However, the open-ended projects is where we want the students to eventually end up, because that's where the genuine problem solving comes in. So we want to make sure that students are moving towards open-ended projects, but tutorials definitely have their own place, and they're beneficial in some cases. So depending on how you want to use these projects in your class, you need to think about whether you want to go with tutorials or open-ended projects.
Absolutely. In addition, one of the other aspects to think about is, do you want software only, so working with the computers, or do you want to combine with hardware? For example, robotics, you have P-bots, Kibos, and many other robotics programming tools that you can integrate within the context of using software and hardware. And we'll actually visit that quite a bit during these coding sampler sessions.
And kind of related to the software hardware is the cost. A lot of times the software only implementation tends to be free or very low cost, as opposed to hardware implementation, which costs a lot more.
Absolutely.
But we hope to have some sort of blending library going on starting in the fall, so that you can get your hands on some hardware if you want to use in the class, and more information will be coming for that. The other question is whether you want to teach coding for the sake of learning coding, or you want to teach coding as an enrichment or addition to other subject areas. So if you're a computer teacher and you have a full hour or 45 minutes of your students' time just to do computers, maybe it's good to just do coding for the sake of learning coding. But maybe if you're integrating as part of a math class or a science class, or even art class, you need to make sure you have the subject area covered and the coding is adding to that. So there are a couple different, we'll have different activities and suggestions along the way for integration versus just pure coding.
Absolutely. And that also segues into the year-long course versus short activities discussion, because some are standalone courses and they have a curriculum that you can follow, and then you can also integrate certain activities within that course or curriculum, or you can use some of these activities, as Hulna mentioned, into an after-school programming space or during integration into a subject area. So there are many different ways of exposing your students to computer science, and during this webinar sessions, we will discuss both different types of ways of doing that.
Okay, so I think that's sort of the background of computer science, and we're going to now go into specifically about this course. So this is an overview and format. I think I sent out an email to everybody earlier today, and a couple of emails last week as well, about BPS Learns. That's where we'll be hosting the course. So BPS Learns is a learning management system. You log in with your BPS email, and not the email, sorry, user ID and password. And once you log in, you scroll down, and under My Courses, you should see Summer Coding Sampler. If you don't see this, let me know and we will troubleshoot. Once you click into there, you will land on our course page. The top section here It's just a quick summary, syllabus, and a forum. And anytime you see a forum, it's open to all. Feel free to add to it. Feel free to. This general forum is for questions and sharing resources. But if you have any other comments you want to put in, you can feel free to put it in there. I will be putting up, or we will be putting up announcements as things come along. Right now, we do have one announcement, which is the Thursday session has moved to 3:30 instead of 3. And then our emails are here if you want to contact us. And then the individual sessions. So session 1, you may not see the rest of these sessions right now. I'm not sure in your view, but we are in session 1. If you click into session 1 and scroll down, you'll see the link to the webinar, link to today's meet. And then session 1 has 3 pieces of assignments. Actually, we'll go into this later, but one of the assignments is to enter and put an entry into this forum. So if you click on here, you just click on add a new discussion topic, and you will be able to type in your comments and then hit submit. So that's BPS Learns, and also it's going to let you keep track of your progression through the course. So I'm just going back to session 1, and the check marks you see here is basically what you've done. And some of them, like the exit ticket, it will automatically do the check mark once you open that form and
complete.
So we will keep track of your completion, and you will be able to do that as well. Oh, oops, sorry. What happened? Sorry. There, okay. My touchpad was a little too sensitive. And then Google Hangouts on Air is what you're watching right now. It is a webinar platform. We will give you the YouTube link, and you can revisit the YouTube link at any time to view the video as many times as you want.
Absolutely. And again, as Haruna mentioned, we have the videos available. The webinars are available on your BPS Learn, so you can watch them later on as well as you're doing assignments or the exit tickets. The today's meet is the back channeling text chat, and some of you have already logged in. Hi, Brian, Janet. So this is a great tool. You can ask us questions while we are going live. And we usually also give you a transcript of our...
If there were relevant questions, we will make sure it's available.
Absolutely.
Right now, I don't see that there are any questions, so we probably won't transcribe this if we don't have to.
Absolutely.
But, so this is where today's meet is.
Excellent. So just in terms of the course requirements, this is, you have registered on My Learning Plan, so that's where you will be awarded the PDPs. The participation, there is a requirement of at least 5 sessions, and we'll talk about how those sessions look like for elementary, middle, and high school. Some sessions are, of course, required. Others are optional, and you could choose accordingly. Participation may be live or asynchronous, which essentially means that since the webinars are going to be online and linked from my BPS Learns, you can visit those webinars, see those webinars, and then can complete the assignments up to the due date. Again, that comes back to completing all assignments for the 5 sessions and actively participating in the forums. That essentially gets you the PDPs. We will also have an implementation plan, and we will discuss that as sessions go through. Yeah, go ahead.
And again, if this is only if you want the PDPs, but all assignments must be completed by end of day on Monday, September 5th. That's Labor Day, if you want the PDPs. If you don't wish to receive PDPs and you're just watching it for your summer pleasure, then obviously we can't make you do any of the assignments, and you can watch however few sessions or whatever number of sessions that interest you, and that's perfectly fine with us.
Absolutely. And that goes back to, we say at least 5 sessions, but since all of these sessions will be live on the TLT channel and YouTube, you can watch all the sessions. It's like auditing a course, and you can do the assignments, as Haruna mentioned, if you feel like it or not. But for PDPs, as we stated, there are the requirements stated here.
And the assignments we're hoping it'll take about an hour of your time aside from this webinar. So like session 1 had 3 different assignments, but all of them combined should take you about an hour. So course expectations and goals. We want you to, at the end of this session or these sessions, understand the general K through 12 computer science landscape and the different tools that are available, and to get some concrete ideas about how to introduce computer science activities to your students, maybe in the next fall or next school year, maybe sometime later. What we're not doing is trying to make you experts in any of these topics. We will be covering different topics every single week, and 1 or 2 hours on a topic is not enough time to make you into experts. We just sort of want to make you aware of what's out there and make you hungry for more training or more. You can take your own courses or tutorials. There are a lot of resources out there. We're just trying to point you to that direction so that you know where to go for more information and to get more expertise in a particular topic.
Absolutely. And expectations are quite simple. Be very active in participating, because we want to hear from you, and so do your colleagues who are participating in this webinar. And outside, have fun. It is very important to have fun while you're learning. It's a great tool. So whenever possible, make your projects reflect your interests. So it also showcases how you can integrate in different subject areas. And also, please make sure you check BPS Learns before each session, because each session may have certain requirements or specific tasks that we may need you to complete before you can join in and actively participate. So it's just make it a practice to check into the BPS Learns.
Yes, and that's very important, because today I sent an email to everybody, but because this was a required session for all, but in the future, none of the sessions will be required for everybody. So I don't want to be sending reminder emails to people who are not going to be viewing that webinar or not even interested in that webinar. So it's going to be up to you to check BPS Learns to see what you need to do before the session. We will not be sending reminder emails or any communications to the general class, unless it pertains to everybody.
Recommendations. Don't be afraid to try things out. Computers have a tendency to not break. If you take on a project and try it on your computers, it will be a great learning experience. So please don't be afraid.
And feel free to explore beyond what's covered in webinars. We will try to attach different resources for you for each session. So for example, if you have a session on Scratch coming up in a week, I will put resources for where you can get more help, where you can find more activities. And this is the summer. I'm sure I am sure you have so much time on it. But feel free to explore and try things out, and definitely go beyond what we covered.
Absolutely. Again, asking for help is a great way of learning more. You can post in the forum, you can email us, but there are resources that we will be posting. You are a resource to each other as well. That's why we advocate posting in the forum, so that everyone can get a chance to reflect upon it. So definitely make sure to share if you have questions, because others might have the same question as well, or resources.
And even if you're working on something that was beyond what's covered in webinars, if you have questions, feel free to ask us. You're not limited to what's in the webinars and the homeworks.
Absolutely.
And the fourth point is try not to procrastinate. We know that these webinars are available at any time, and you can watch at any point. But we know from experience that if you start getting behind, it's harder and harder to catch up, and then people kind of drop out of the course and disappear, and we lose them. So we encourage you to try to stay on track. We know you have vacations and you have other obligations, so we try to make it convenient for you by taking this webinar format. But we do have the deadline of September 5th for all the projects if you want to get the BDPs. And even aside from that, we're going to encourage you to stay on track and try to do 2 sessions a week. We do have some wiggle room in there. There are 2 weeks in the beginning of August that when we won't be broadcasting any webinars, so that you could use that as a catch-up time between the first half and the second half.
And again, just reiterating the fact that collaboration in forms of questions or even sharing resources, great resources that you uncover, articles, definitely make sure that you do that. And there are many avenues such as forums or even posting it through your website. Those are really great resources. So please make sure you share what you find amazing or helpful.
And feel free to collaborate if you live near another teacher or have a nephew who can help you or whatever it may be. Feel free to collaborate and work together with other people. And also, you feel free to ask for help outside of our network if you have other resources you could reach out to. So we're just going to go through the overview of each session. I know this isn't the syllabus, but I just want to make sure you hear the same thing. So you want to kick it off, Rashmi?
Sure. So the first one is an introduction to exploring computer science. This webinar will give you an overview of exploring computer science as an introductory CS course, which is designed for grades 9 and 10. ECS is an NSF-funded curriculum that teaches the creative, collaborative, interdisciplinary, and problem-solving nature of computing with instructional materials that feature inquiry-based approach to learning and teaching. As a part of this course, you will delve into the 6 units that are offered. You will see them, you will see some projects, and it's essentially a required course for high school teachers because it is an introductory course. So that sort of gives you an overview of what this session would cover.
Okay, and the next session, which is next Monday, is Introduction to Scratch. And Scratch is a very, very popular graphical programming language that was developed in MIT and now have millions of users worldwide. And it was developed as a tool to teach younger students how to code and get them into coding. So it's, again, in an educational setting, it's a really, really nice tool to use because that's what it was made for. So in this session, we'll go into very, very basic, short introduction of Scratch. And as part of the homework, you will complete a small project in it. It's definitely, again, not going to be enough to make you into an expert, but it will be enough, hopefully, to get you interested if you've never seen it before. And if you have seen Scratch before, if you have taken any of our webinars or any other PD with Scratch, skip this session unless you want it as a refresher, because it will probably be too basic for you. But we will have another Scratch session in August that will be a little more advanced.
The next one is sort of the overview of APCS principles, which was recently launched 2016 and 17, and the APCSA College Board approved courses. We will look into the full syllabi that are essentially acknowledged and supported by College Board. The AP Computer Science Principles introduces students to the foundational concepts of computer science, and Computer Science A course is equivalent to a first semester college level course. So we'll look into some of the syllabus, the projects that they look at, and there will be some fun assignment with this project as well.
And the next session will be hopscotch. Oh, wait, and then the APCS, sorry, is required for high school teachers. So if you're high school educators, make sure you tune into that one. And then moving on to hopscotch. Hopscotch is a iPad or iPhone app that is kind of similar to Scratch. It's a block-based coding platform. And we will make a small game in hopscotch during that session. It's recommended for grades 3 through 8. The only little caveat for this session is that you need to use an iPad or iPhone, so you need to have one of those things. If you want to try it out but don't have the hardware, let us know and we'll try to work something out. We do have loaners, it's just that you may have to sit here in bowling to do it, but we'll try to make it work. So let us know if you're interested but you don't have iPads.
Absolutely. Code Studio is a really great resource they have have online curriculum. You could use them for short activities or as a course as well. It has 6 different courses, and they can fit into different grade levels. They have gradation. I think it is a really great resource because it's being used and piloted in BPS. So you have a great community of professional learners that you can share with, share resources with. During these courses, students do learn about creating programs and solving problems. And as a part of the project, they do develop some interactive games that they can share. At our end, we will be overviewing these courses and maybe doing some of the assignments as well.
Session 7 will be Scratch Junior. So we said before that Scratch is this wildly popular graphical language developed for grades about 3 and up. And in Scratch Junior was kind of a spin-off from Scratch. It's a special version of Scratch that's been adapted for younger grade levels. And the very special feature is that it's for pre-readers, so you don't have to know how to read in order to use Scratch Junior. It works on iPads, Android tablets, or Chromebook. It does not work on L4Ls. So again, if you have any hardware requirements for this, well, we do have the hardware requirement. If you have any issues obtaining one of those devices, please let us know ahead of time and we'll try to work something out.
The Sketchpad Sketch.io processing session will introduce you to some of the popular platform-independent dynamic visualization softwares. These softwares are usually used to teach, illustrate, and illuminate computational concepts in a more tangible visual way, which in turn promotes higher understanding and hence, higher engagement from students. So we'll look at some of the projects, resources that are available for this software. Some versions of these softwares are free. We'll be using those, but if you need the licensed versions, OIIT has some licenses and we can give you those as well. But as Aruna mentioned previously, if you need hardware or need to work on a computer, you might have to come to Bowling to work on those. So we can, please do let us know if you need the software, the professional software for this.
And then we'll have a couple weeks of break for you to catch up. And then we are going to pick it back up on the 3rd week of August with MIT App Inventor, which is a programming platform for creating mobile apps. And it's, until now we've been talking more about creating programs, but this is basically, this is where you can get into standalone apps that can launch on anybody's phone. And with students all having phones nowadays, this is a really exciting development. Yeah, so week 9 we'll cover MIT App Inventor.
Absolutely. Next comes the sort of an overview of Python and JavaScript. These are simple programming languages to learn compared to, of course, the Java and the C++, which are the object-oriented languages. This is a great sort of language as a stepping stone to make, transference of some complex concepts. And it makes it easier because of its syntax, because of its compilation, how it compiles. So these are platform independent and teachers do not require any programming experience to take this session. We will go through some of the overview and there will be some fun assignment for this project as well.
And then in the 11th week, we'll get into, whoops, I have been forgetting to put these arrows on. Whoops, okay. We'll get into Scratch and Star Logo Nova and specifically creating games. So this is a little step up from the 3rd session of Scratch. And we do ask that you have a little bit of experience with either Scratch or Star Logo or any other block coding before you take this session, because we will have to go into slightly advanced concepts in order to make games. There are certain concepts that are specific to games that you kind of need before you can develop a fun, effective game like keeping scores and things like that. So we do ask that you have some experience, but if you do have some experience, this would be a great session to take to get you moving along further in Scratch and Star Logo.
Absolutely. And to that end, again, all these sessions will be available on the YouTube. So if you've done the intro scratch, you can take this, or if you go into this session and you feel that you need a little bit of basic scratch background, you could go back and watch that session and then tune in into this session. So it's a really flexible way of learning together. Next comes the hardware sampler. This is a really great session. It's a 2-hour session. We'll be hosting it at Bowling.
This one's face-to-face.
It will be a face-to-face session, a really fun one, and it is a hands-on exploration of a sampling of hardware options that include, Lego robotics kits, Arduino, Makey, little bit, a lot more. So it's a really great, fun session, and we highly recommend you attend these so that you can see what's available for you. And Haruna, maybe you want to talk about the kits they could borrow?
Yes. So at the session, we're planning to have. Sorry, I'm blanking out. We will have some B-bots and Keybots for younger grades. We will definitely have some sampling of Lego robotics kits, different versions of it. We will have Makeys, which is again for elementary, middle grade level. And then for high schools, we'll have the Lego robotics kits again. We'll have Arduinos. We'll hopefully have Raspberry Pis and some other materials.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a lot of time for you to just explore and play with them and get your hands dirty. Again, as I said earlier in the session today, we will have a lending library of stuff, kits for your schools in the fall. We don't really know for sure how much and what we'll have, but for now, we do have Lego robotics kits.
Right.
We do have Arduinos. We do have limited number of Raspberry Pis and some other materials. So we're hoping to grow that library. It's obviously dependent on budget and how much funding we have, but we'll try to make those available for you. So it's and if you're doing any fundraising for schools, it'll be a good chance for you to see what's out there, so you know what you can get. We know a lot of teachers who did Donors Choose or other crowdfunding campaign to fund their own technology. And moving forward, that's the best way for your school and yourself, because you don't want to be depending on our lending libraries just to get you started. But you don't want to be relying on that, because if all of our kits are checked out by other schools, you may not be able to get it when you want it. And if you have it by crowdfunding or whatever resource, then it's for you to use anytime you want during the school year.
Absolutely. And to that end also, Timothy Smith Network is also, they have some funding, or they have some kits that they could give you. So maybe if your school is already partnering with them, inquire about that, and that's great resource as well that you could use for these kits. Next comes the HTML and CSS session. So it's basically, these are the languages specifically made for websites. HTML is a great way of learning about tags and learning about text-based language that could then impact your websites. In this session, the participants will learn the basics of HTML and CSS, but they'll also create a simple web page as part of their project.
I'm just going to check today's meet to make sure we don't have any questions. Okay.
Absolutely.
So these are our recommendations for which sessions you could be taking for different grade spans. So if you are a pre-K through grade 2-ish teacher, then obviously this first session is required for everybody. But if you're an elementary teacher, you have no other required courses, and the sessions that are most relevant to early ed are Intro to Scratch, Hopscotch, Code Studio, Scratch Junior, and the hardware course sampler. And for mid-elementary to middle school as well, you don't have any other required sessions other than this session 1. But you have a slightly expanded list of what else you can do. And they include some of the text-based coding and some other more advanced courses as well.
Absolutely. And to the high school spectrum, there are 2 sessions required. The first being the introduction. Actually, there are 3. The introduction is common for all. The second is the ECS, which is Exploring Computer Science, which is the introductory course. That's why we want you to have an overview of that. The session 4, which gives you an overview of the AP course offering, so that you know what comes after ECS if you are offering it at high school. And then 2 of the sessions that are offered, as you see here, which is a mix of different tools and different resources or courses.
And these are just recommendations. You can choose outside of your range. That's completely okay, especially if you're like interested in how maybe you're a middle school teacher, you're interested in knowing what high school students would be doing so that you know what you should be teaching in middle school, or anything like that. So feel free to take any other course that's not within your grade level span. Where these are not requirements, these are suggestions.
Absolutely. And to that end, also, as Aruna mentioned, there is a lot of alignment that goes on. So when you are in middle school, seeing what the high school students will need to take certain courses is a great way. We also introduced a little bit about the digital learning and computer science standards. So sort of seeing an alignment between them and the coursework that you are doing. These are really great recommendations, because then you know where your students going, where your students are coming from, and sort of where you can merge that gap.
Okay, so that brings us to our assignments for session 1.
Fun part.
The first assignment is an exit ticket. It's just a Google survey, Google form, and it has a few questions. One of the questions is, which session do you plan on attending? And that's just to give us an idea of who the audience will be for each session. It's not going to be a commitment. It's not like you have to sign up now and those are the only ones you can take. You're always free to change your mind. But it's just to give us an idea of who will be, what teachers will be attending each session, and especially the hardware sampler, because we need to know how many people are coming. So that's part of the exit ticket for session 1.
Absolutely. The second assignment is, which is a very informative assignment, is sort of knowing the MADLCS curriculum framework. They were just posted on June 18, as we mentioned before, and sort of focusing on your grade span and the computational thinking strand, so that you can see the connections we are making as we progress through this webinar learning series. And it is also a newer strand, so sort of learning about abstraction and how you can connect it back into your classroom would be really helpful.
Yeah, it's a pretty lengthy document, so we're not expecting you to read everything in detail, because it is a pretty long document. But definitely focus on your grade span and the computational thinking strand. And also you may want to check just the vertical alignment for the computational thinking strand. But we're not expecting you to read every single strand word for word. And then after you read through the curriculum framework, there is a question posted in session 1 forum for you to comment on the framework. And we're hoping that will kind of be an interactive thing, so you can comment on each other's threads and have a conversation going there.
Absolutely.
And all the links are posted in BPS Learns, like we just looked at earlier.
Right, and sometimes, if there are really new information that we are mentioning through a webinar, everything, again, we are going to re-emphasize this, will be posted in BPS Learn. So and you can always email us if you have questions.
All right, I think that brings us mostly to the end of the session. We just want to make a couple of announcements before we close off. The first is the Learn, Teach, Lead Learning Summit that we will be hosting at Boston Latin on August 10th. It's pretty much an all-day event, although I don't think I have the specific times yet. This is a learning conference with different sessions led by teachers on different digital learning practices. Do you want to add to that?
It's a really great conference, and there is, again, if you go to the website, more information about the sessions and details will be coming forward. So make sure you're there, or you're watching or learning from that.
Yes, and the website is tiny.cc/bpsltl16, and the registration information is there as well. And final announcement is the next session.
The session 2 is the Introduction to Computer Science course. There is a new time. It is 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. and it's on Thursday, July 7th. That's 2 days from now. So tune in for that session.
And again, that session is required for high school teachers,
Yes.
although live participation is not required. So you could watch it on a later time if this time frame does not work for you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching, and happy computing.
All right, see you back here on Thursday.
Thank you.